Hello, everybody. We are back with Losers Round 3 action between FRA and TAW. This is match 3 of a best of 3. We have carried both of these games on stream leading up to this moment. TAW pulled out an incredible match 1 victory in the final, literally 30 seconds of the match, and FRA held on barely at the very end of match 2. Both of those games were played on checkpoint, and both times TAW played as the Axis and FRA played as the Allies. Now we move to match 3. This is a predetermined strong point. We are now on Flak Pits. This was drawn earlier this week, so both teams knew that if it got to a match 3 that it was coming here. TAW won the coin toss, and they have selected to be Allies on Flak Pits. We have about 4 minutes to go to start time. I am joined in the booth once again by Scurbs. Scurbs, we have a few minutes before this starts, but this has really been a fun contest between these two teams. This has been this could be one of the best series of HLL 18 v18 we've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, to start off, I've lost half my voice just casting these last two games. Just the excitement that's come from the last 2 minutes of each of these games, just completely confusing things going on, and just not sure which side's going to win, and it's been really exciting to watch. And I'm again a little bit confused. This is a very interesting third map. I played Flak Pits with my guys from Helly's Heroes at the beginning of the tournament, and wow, this is one of the most difficult maps to play, I think. And I can maybe hypothesize as to some of the reasons why TW may have picked this as their potential. As this map being picked as generally the third map. And I'm not entirely convinced that we're going to see some of these last-ditch efforts and exciting moments that we saw on the previous two games here on Flak Pits, because it is a completely different kind of map. With the previous map that we were on, with checkpoint being the focus point, a lot of the time you can predict where the enemy are going to come from. There are holes in hedges, there are waterways, there are gullies that you could take paths through, and this map is entirely different in that regard. It is just a hill with loads of trees around it. There is no funneling as such that you would expect. It's a different ball game completely in terms of how you predict the enemy's movements. It's very easy to get around the back of the enemies here. There isn't exactly a north, middle, south lane. The only main advantage that comes with this map is for the Germans, who have access to the hilly area, really on the southern area of the map in F4, which is the bottom right sector for Flak Pits. And that's the main advantage that comes with being the Germans. And we mentioned TAW actually picked to be Americans in this, which is interesting, considering that most people would perhaps consider the Germans in this being the more advantageous of the two sides. So yeah, expect a completely different kind of match here. Similarly, maybe expect the unexpected as well when it comes to the end. It is the third match out of 3. No holds barred. It's winner take all. We could see things that we've not seen before in the tournament so far. So I'm stoked. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that TAW's decision, and I want to make for a point of clarification. So neither of these teams selected Flak Pits. This was a randomly drawn map that they were assigned by RNG. If it got to a third match. Just for clarification for viewers, because this is new process for this week. And TAW won the coin toss to decide sides, and they picked Allies. So it is an interesting choice. I think most teams would probably prefer,
1 minute,
from a neutral standpoint, if we're starting from absolute zero, I think I would probably want to be Axis over Allies on Flak Pits. From what I have seen, but the Allies do get a couple of things that really can play to their advantage. They have this great trench system that leads into the circle, and maybe we're overthinking it, Scurbs. Maybe the reason why they've chosen Flak Pits Allies is because, trench running worked really well for us in match 1 and 2. Why don't we try it again in match 3? That really might just be it, and they might have come in They might have prepared for both sides of Flak Pits, and maybe they wanted to change sides. Who knows? It's really hard to know. Be curious to talk to them after this match is over to really get an idea. But definitely, I agree with you. This is so different from Checkpoint. I mean, this could not be a more different strong point than Checkpoint. So no matter what, we're going to see a different style of game as we get underway. 1:15 was match start as we see players from both sides start to get moving. So this is winner take all. The winner of this match is advancing over to losers round 4 tomorrow, and we just found out that, the opponent has been predetermined due to a forfeit, but the winner of this game is going to play DC tomorrow no matter what. So the opponent has been determined. DC awaits the winner of the match here this best of 3 between TAW and FRA. FRA is in orange. They are on your left currently, and TAW is in blue, and they are on your right. So right away, we need to talk about the hill on the south side. I think we should start there. This is going to be outside of the circle. This is the most important critical objective on the map, and due to its positioning, FRA certainly has a runtime advantage getting to that mountain. What TAW can do in return, though, is they have a little bit better positioning, I feel, on the very northern side of this strong point. As we look at it, south side is at the top of your screen, north side is at the bottom. They do have some positionings here and a lot of micro cover. Be curious to see if TAW, you're seeing lines really from both teams here running right into each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with this map, it's actually quite easy to get confused about your orientation as well. I mean, we should say that the hill that is on the southern side of the map, you don't get access to the top of this hill. You're essentially just on the rim, on the side of it, which means whoever has control of that does actually get a good angle into the point, even though it is trenched off. And then we have this massive drop-off on the northern side of the map where you could easily sneak people through and around, and we have seen it in matches before. We have seen incredible plays come from this, but nothing that has really pulled together and affected the entire result of matches. And, interestingly enough, just from the beginning here, with the initial trades, it looks like TAW have managed to actually force their way into Flak Pits. They've shoved quite a lot of their troops in. They've smoked it out in almost its entirety, and there's almost a tiny hole here in the lines for FRA.
I got serious questions for FRA in the center of their line here. I mean, like this has been a theme. Like all 3 games, they corrected a little bit in match 2, but FRA really seems to forget or at least not prioritize the center of the map. And I do mean the center. Now, we do see 2 squad leads right just south, just north of Flak Pits. I should really turn this around and look at this from the hill down. Might be a little bit better. But it is interesting, right? Because, you would look... Oh, no, this isn't going to work. We'll do it right here. TAW really, has an opportunity to capture here. And, the circle on Flak Pits is quite small. This is a really small circle relative to what you'll find in a lot of Hell Let Loose. And it's hard to get to for both teams. It's a kill box for both teams to get there, especially from the hill. So TAW really operating in a downhill position, kind of northwest of the Flak Pit circle. And I will say, Fear Not's squad is really kind of running unopposed at the moment. At the very top of this hill, we are seeing QQ. Oh, we should watch this for a second. QQ has been a player to watch. Fear Not drops Cruz. They're looking for each other. QQ drops Fear Not.
QQ, goodness me. And he's on his own now in a swell against the rest of Fear Not's team. Let's see how he fares. Epson's going down there as well. It's now 2v1, spilled Zans and canister. Can they spot QQ? Surely.
They do. There he does. He does. But what's really important there is that Fear Not did not move his outpost further up. And that is going to hurt his team a little bit. If Fear Not had been able to move Dog Outpost a little bit closer to this top of the hill, they would put his team in a little bit better position. So I think Fear Not was hanging on maybe for a medic to come and save him, but no one did. And now, TAW's got to run right back up this hill. This has been a theme, I think, for TAW, is they seem to get positions and then they just don't get a spawn down to secure it, And it's been hurting them all series. Whereas FRA, their biggest drawback, I think, has been they're super conservative with their OPs. A lot of FRA's OPs are very deep in the zone. I don't know where they are currently. You could tell me, Scarps. But I do want to focus in the flank zone. We do have RV Music. I'm going to say that's his name. You said it last time. Is on the downhill, and there is nobody from FRA watching. And this is why Flak Pits is so exciting. Because look at the elevation difference on this strong point, right? From right to left on your screen. It is so big. You have to have players all over the place to really, secure angles. And RV Music has just strolled all the way to the back line of FRA's team because no one from FRA is on this downhill section. And so, I think no matter what happens here, no matter who captures, it looks like FRA is in position to capture. Look at RV Music. He's literally about to reach the back line on his own, and clearly no one from FRA even realizes that he's there. So he can do damage if he is really smart with his positioning, and he has really, really strong communication with where he sees enemies.
And it's funny because, emphasis on Stroll. He's literally just walked there, and there's no one has contested him whatsoever. And looking at the OPs that FRA have, he is within striking distance of Able and Baker squad OPs, and they're not pinging at the moment. But once they do ping, I think he'll be able to at least take one or two of them out, and they're going to have absolutely no idea who and how that has just happened. And for me, from what I've seen from the people who played on this map, and from the sides that have taken part in the Flak Pits, which again, in my opinion, is one of the most difficult maps to fight over, or points, I should say. Discipline is the thing that I think is one of the most key things that these teams need to enforce. And what I mean by that is, if you have a hole that forms in your line, patch it up straight away. You need to make sure that you're not clustering together. Every person on this map is absolutely key, because it's not just about coming from left to right. They could come at any direction to you, and you need to cover as much of the map as you possibly can in terms of your sight lines, which is why the only place you should really be within 10, 15, 20 meters of a friendly is actually in the point itself. And it's just about how disciplined these sides are in terms of maintaining their fronts, in terms of reacting to what the enemy is doing, in terms of where their OPs are positioned and replacing their OPs if they need to, and just keeping that up, because it is really easy in many ways to get boxed in and broken down on this map.
And as I zoom in here on RV Music, is there an OP in the back line here that he's looking for?
Very close, yes. He's in between two.
Oh, and he goes down. Oh, Digicode from Arc finds him in the backfield, and he doesn't kill. And did he get any of the OPs?
No, he so Digicode reacted because one of the OPs started
flashed.
pinging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, while in the last couple of minutes we did see the FRA team secure Flak Pits, Dog and Charlie were able to reestablish their outposts for toss. So good work there. They're able to hold their positions, and now you are seeing, I think this is maybe why TAW wanted this, because they wanted the opportunity to flank. And think about the previous two matches, Scurbs. TAW has had no ability to flank, really. I mean, there's been no real way to do that. So, maybe they were like, hey, let's take allies. I think the flank potential on allied side is stronger than it is on Axis because of the downhill right here. And you are seeing two players go down for the FRA team. So will TAW be able to maybe punch through this southern flank? And they all go down. FRA loses everybody on the south side, or north side, I should say. Sorry, I should be looking at this in this direction. So the north side is now wide open. Great communication and target identification there from TAW, eliminating an entire squad of FRA, and capture progress starts coming in for TAW on the strong point. So look at this flank coming in. Arc and FRA getting completely pinched into the mountaintop, and TAW doing a phenomenal job of really preventing FRA from being able to go anywhere other than this mountain. And maybe that was the play all along. Maybe TAW was like, look, the chances of us capturing off rip are kind of low, but it doesn't matter. Because once the match carries on, we can really start to maybe, pinch in this FRA team into this kind of, one box, the F4 box with a little bit of E4. And that's really it. Or sorry, F4 and E4. So you're seeing now pretty much the entire FRA team is concentrated either next to the strong point or they are on the mountaintop. And TAW has really enabled to flank. Now, as I say that, there is an assault player from FRA that is kind of and he goes down as I find him. So, but that's a good pickup from TAW because he actually could have done some damage back there.
Yeah.
And now you are starting to see two players from FRA are now running in from base spawn garrisons, but the damage being done here, like TAW is capturing.
And, this is what I said before about discipline as well, because TAW basically just formed their line, which originally, was vectored east to west, and they just swung it around, boxing them in, FRA into, as you said, kind of the hilly area of the map on the southern side. And, FRA have done a fairly good job of trying to take down at least the northeastern side of this line. And going back to what that one TAW player did before and sneaking around the sides, he obviously enabled a route in for a whole squad. But what you really need is a squad leader to make that move around the flank. Put an OP down in somewhere ridiculous and dangerous and allow his squad to constantly keep reinforcing on that flank. And, the OP that Maelstrom has is really down on the downside, on the northern side of the map, and they're spawning essentially right next to the river, so not as close as what they should be doing right now. And it is allowing FRA to make the walk in from their northern garrison, east to west, right on the northern side, and they're managing to dissuade that side of the flank. Meanwhile, there is a big micro battle going on now, literally on point. The capture progress, I can't even tell if it's going up or down at the moment, but we've got multiple units from either side of TAW and FRA just ducking it out in the trench area at this point. It's smokes are going out, it's getting hairy. We could see some shoveling going on. I hope we see someone get shoveled. And in the meantime, we have another micro engagement going on the hill. It's almost getting kind of messy at this point. The discipline is fading away, at least in favor of TAW. TAW is still managing to get people onto the point.
Look at the mountaintop. I mean, TAW just stormed up the mountain. Just to recap the last few minutes, TAW was capturing, then FRA came back really strong with big numbers, and they reversed that capture progress for a little while. But now TAW has come roaring back. And they are really, really close, and I think we're going to see a flip here. TAW has got excellent concentration up on the hill in the strong point. They're basically baiting FRA into this southern flank because they're forcing FRA to deal with these TAW elements, these onesie twosies out on the north side, and I think TAW is gonna get the flip here. They do. So FRA outposts get reset. Now, let me know how quickly FRA resets these and in what locations.
So, Able will have reset their OP in their own territory. Just so happens, as that flip happened, Baker and Charlie leaders were dead. So they haven't been able to reset their OPs. It's a hard reset for both of those squads. And Able are the only team that are able to come straight back into point on behalf of FRA.
That is a really big deal for this match. The fact that two squad leaders for FRA were not alive in the zone when the cap flipped means that TAW should air quotes, have some kind of advantage over the next minute. We did see the strong point go contested for a second. TAW has really got to get aggressive on this mountaintop. If there was ever a time for TAW to go take this mountain and claim it for themselves, it is right now. They have got to go to this hill, mountain, whatever you want to call it. They've got to secure this, because if TAW can lock down the top of this hill, that is really going to open up the game for the rest of their team.
Just reflecting on the previous matches that we've seen here with TAW and FRA, TAW have not been the greatest at capitalizing on the space and the areas of engagement which they've won. And as you say, they really need to get better at doing this, especially on this top hill here. And in fact, around the actual point itself, because they're just going to keep inviting FRA to launch at them. And you know, as soon as QQ comes in from FRA, it's a done deal on behalf of FRA. You know, that man is essentially, man or woman, is essentially two players in one. And yeah, you know, going back to what I was just saying, this is really about discipline, and it's capitalizing on the space that you create for yourself. And in fairness, TAW on the hill have managed to push down to a point where they've got a top-bottom view of the southern garrison approach for FRA. So that's quite good. They've got nearly a whole squad chilling at this point on the center point, and we do have a TAW squad on the most northern and you know, the bottom side of the map, if you like, just constantly baiting in elements of FRA. And, you know, they're doing a really good job at splitting FRA at this point. I would imagine FRA are, you know, a little bit panicked. You know, there's still some time to go here, but they certainly have just lost control of all the areas that they, you know, were dominating.
Ooh, and QQ in the backfield, he slips through the tall line, and he gets all the... Look at QQ, he's completely alone.
What a bloke.
QQ is going to go find this dog outpost, certainly. I'd have to imagine he will. He does. The dog OP goes down, and guess what? Dog squad leader also goes down. So QQ, and look, and the tall line on the hill is gone in a matter of seconds. The OP goes away, the entire squad goes away, and QQ has completely opened up this southern side of Flak Pits. And I don't know if TAW has fully realized how deep FRA is getting into their backline. You know, I've actually never seen a player in a match get through the hilltop like this on a flank, because, like, typically it's just like an absolute kill box. But QQ, as he has been this entire best of 3 series, has found a way. And he is now in the backfield, almost up against the back line of TAW. And you're seeing now significant capture progress come in for FRA as TAW has completely lost the circle. So this match is back and forth, but I'm nervous. TAW might have just lost the whole thing here. They're going to maybe have to start from zero because their entire team is getting closed in on from the
my goodness.
This is now QQ does go down, so that's a really big kill. Did he set an outpost?
There is a Charlie outpost right in the bottom of E4 at the top of the hill. So you know, they have a good point to get back into this engagement and cut off the incoming TAW forces for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is shaping. You know, this is Flak Pits is one of those strong points that is really unpredictable, in my opinion, because there is no set angle from which to attack. It's not like St. Mary-Glise or St. Marie-de-Mont, where you have to get to this building and then get to this trench line. As I say this, you are seeing TAW just cleans up QQ and his squad. And how close is that OP? And they get it. So now QQ makes the high-risk play, and now look at... He loses that entire squad on the south side. If TAW is able to clean up this FRA squad on the hilltop, it's going to now swing back dramatically in the other direction in just a couple of minutes as you watch FRA players now start to drop on this hilltop. I mean, this is a really... Just going back to what I was talking about, it's just not predictable. There's a bazillion trees on Hill 400. There's a million angles from which to attack. I mean, there's a couple of, like, you know, strong landmarks, the hill, you know, the trench line that runs into the strong point, the downhill. But, like, look at, if I look in the backfield of FRA here, you have an entire squad of FRA has to spawn in at the garrison. And, like, FRA was actually capturing there. They were getting capture progress. They almost had it. And then I think QQ got too aggressive. He set a really aggressive outpost up really deep in TAW's, you know, side of the playing field, and he paid for it because now his entire squad had to spawn back from base, and TAW still has control of Flak Pits. Now, granted, it is a little contested. It's a little tight. I'm looking for, it looks like a rifleman from FRA. Beeble Snow might have just taken out a, you know, you're right, it's kind of all over the place, but I think an entire TAW squad is now going to have to spawn in at the garrison because this rifleman found the OP, so props to him.
I mean, what was that? 30 seconds from QQ going from a point of crawling over the top of the hill into enemy territory, taking out an OP, and then subsequently his OP getting taken out. Like 30 seconds, it went advantage FRA to advantage TAW. I've never seen, anything flip that quickly. And yeah, you're right. He probably got a little bit too aggressive, and in fairness to FRA, they had a 20-second, 30-second period where they nearly completely encircled the squad that's holding down the center point here on behalf of TAW. But props to the squad from TAW that had to respawn back at their southern garrison, because they plowed their way back in there and managed to take out pretty much everyone from FRA that was getting around the back line here. And now, we're basically seeing two more lines forming, and TAW are trying to reconnect and take back control of the top of the hill.
Yeah, this is... I want to make an interesting communication note here, which I think TAW is one of the best communicating teams in this tournament, and I can tell from their movement. Really interesting. Abel set down his place outpost marker where he was actually going to place it, which is like, I know that sounds like, oh wow, what an amazing thing. He used the marker for what it's intended to be used for, but that is really good communication that's non-verbal. Right? That is a non-verbal cue to the rest of your two other squad leaders. Like, hey man, like, I know you're busy, but look, if you look at the map, my OP is going right there, and you can adjust and react to that accordingly. And that's just like the small, like, I will say TAW does the small things really, really nicely. There's a lot of details in TAW's gameplay that really helps them. And look, like, you would think, looking at the strong point, you'd be like, yeah, I mean, look at the concentration of8 players in and around the strong point. But look, TAW is holding it, and it's not even contested. So really got to credit TAW here with 8 minutes to go on the clock. TAW holding strong. And, I will tell you, in the pregame, when TAW selected allies on Flak Pits, I second-guessed them a little bit, only because I really felt like the southern hill is just such a big advantage on the Axis side that I feel like TAW would want to take advantage of. But like, so far, TAW really proving me wrong, and I love being proven wrong, honestly. This has been really exciting to watch, and this is, I mean, something tells me this entire best of 3 series that has taken a couple of hours here is going to come down to an absolute knife fight in this little tiny circle.
100%. And here's an observation that's just occurred to me, and it's one which is more comparison to some of the other matches that we've seen on Flak Pits. But we've seen teams completely dominate, and ARO especially, that I've seen especially on this map, have dominated because they've kept discipline, they formed their lines, and they've used MGs perfectly. I am barely seeing the use of MGs on this map right now, and so the way both sides are attacking and defending and piercing into each other's lines is happening in a very different way to what I was expecting from my experience of seeing other teams play here. And, it's just a testament to the 18 versus 18 format, that it could just be so varied, and a testament to Flak Pits being, just one of those points where you really don't know what is going to happen.
It's so chaotic. Flak Pits is the most, other than Roar River House, I would say Flak Pits is the most chaotic strong point. And when I saw that this had been drawn, I love Flak Pits. It's the most fun to cast because it's so unpredictable. And when I saw that this got drawn, I was like, all right, nice. A Flak Pits match. These are always good. We are seeing with 6.5 minutes to go, FRA is getting capture progress. And I have questions for TAW. That Abel outpost is a little too conservative for my taste with this much time in the match. Abel has got to move his OP now, because FRA is contesting. You got 6 minutes. What happens if you get full reset? Your squad leaders go down. You can't take the chance, right? Yeah. So you've got to get that OP in a more defensible position, even if it's risky, right? Because you got to go for it. Abel's squad lead is still up, but